Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday, April 9th. Very nice weather pattern in the Mid-Atlantic region over the last several days. In fact, it's been quite nice across much of the eastern U.S. and really across much of the nation. We've experienced warmer than normal conditions and plenty of dry weather as well. There definitely has been some very cold air, however, throughout parts of the northern hemisphere. For example, Alaska is experiencing right now some extreme cold, some of the coldest air ever seen up in that part of the North America during the month of April. Europe has gone through a very cold spell as well, and in both of those places, Alaska and Europe, the cold is being accompanied by some early springtime snowfall. Some of that cold air that's currently over Alaska will make a trek down to the South Andes, of course in a modified format, but it looks like a colder weather pattern is going to set up for the middle and latter part of April as we get to the for the central and eastern U.S. And all of this was kind of foreshadowed by the negative NAO. We've talked about the North Atlantic Oscillation, a teleconnection index, still in negative territory, remains in negative territory for the next few days, and this time of the year that suggests blocking in the atmosphere over Greenland, northeastern Canada, and a much higher probability of colder than normal outbreaks into the central and eastern U.S. Here is, in fact, the very latest on the North Atlantic Oscillation. The black right here represents the observed, the red, the forecast, in negative territory. Anything below this line right here is negative. It actually drops a little farther into negative territory over the next few days before it finally tries to head back towards the neutral position. But again, this time of the year and any time during the winter season, a sustained negative NAO suggests colder air outbreaks can make it into the central and eastern U.S. with blocking pattern setting up over places like Greenland and northeastern Canada. Well, speaking of a blocking pattern, let's take a look at what happens here with 500 millibar height anomalies. This is from last night's ensemble run of the GFS. And notice at this particular time, as we begin the day on Friday, we do have some higher heights compared to normal over Greenland. This is Greenland right here, northeastern Canada, and even an upper level low over the central part of the nation. But watch what happens as we go through the next few days and focus in on this area. And the higher heights than normal really intensify. Look at this purple showing up way off the scale here in terms of how it compares to normal for heights. And higher heights translates to higher pressure. And this is the forecast map for Sunday afternoon. This typically allows for troughiness to form over the U.S. and colder air outbreaks to make it into the central and eastern U.S. And look at this. It's just a tremendous blocking pattern here. Again, signaled to us by that negative NAO. This is right in that perfect location to allow for colder air to make it into the central and eastern U.S. And again, it looks like definitely going to head into a colder pattern during the middle and latter part of April for much of the central and eastern U.S. And not only is there this block setting up, but right behind it is a lot of troughiness that will form here over the U.S. Look at this. This is now about a week away from right now, next Friday, April 16th. Upper level trough situated almost from coast to coast, and oftentimes that is colder than normal temperatures, and it just kind of sits over the eastern part of the nation, and this is really some nasty weather as we get all the way out to about April 20th or so. So this is telling us that we have some colder air coming not only next week, but it looks like into the following week as well in the central and eastern U.S., all preceded by a tremendous block in the pattern over Greenland. Well, let's take a look at the current 850 millibar temperature anomalies across the northern hemisphere. A couple areas I really want to point out here. I mentioned Alaska and Europe experiencing cold weather right now, and here is Alaska with some extreme cold again. May very well end up with the lowest temperature ever recorded in Alaska during the month of April during this particular cold air outbreak. Europe experiencing some extreme cold as well. Both of these areas in the Northern Hemisphere also have some early springtime snowfall to accompany that extreme cold. Now, this particular cold air mass will drop to the South Andes, of course, in a modified format here, but nonetheless, it'll end up producing a colder than normal weather pattern here for much of the central and eastern U.S. Again, beginning later next week and continuing into the following week, maybe the following couple of weeks. So again, definitely still some very cold air situated over the Northern Hemisphere. And some of that is coming into the U.S., which has really enjoyed some nice weather over the past week or so. Well, let's wrap up with a look at the surface forecast maps from the GFS last night. And an unsettled weather pattern now is developing in the Mid-Atlantic region. Again, after several warm and dry days, we have a threat for a shower pretty much any time from today, tonight, tomorrow. Steadier rain looks like it's coming to the Mid-Atlantic region later tomorrow night into Sunday morning, all as a result of a very slow-moving, kind of a complex low-pressure area now situated over the upper part of the Midwest. It just slowly spins and sends some spokes of moisture into the eastern states. And again, the steadiest rainfall likely to be tomorrow night into Sunday morning for the Mid-Atlantic region, but we're not out of the woods at that point. This is the forecast map for Monday morning. Still spinning over the Great Lakes region, and still the chance of showers in much of the northeastern quadrant of the nation. And look at all this cold air over south central Canada associated with snowfall. And again, that is a piece of that cold air outbreak from Alaska makes a trek to the south and east towards the U.S. And we could see some colder air into the eastern states by the middle or latter part of next week. Here we are now by the middle of next week. Look at these thickness values. Anytime you see a 540 thickness this time of the year all the way into Pennsylvania, that's some chilly air relative to normal. And we'll just keep moving forward here. Again, kind of an unsettled and chilly weather pattern will set up by later next week. And we'll just go out a little farther in time to see another chilly air mass here. Here's that 540 line here now. We're going into about 8, 9, 10 days away here. And look at this. Here's another chilly air mass dropping from Canada into the northern plains. This is now a week and a half away. We're talking April 19th, and that works its way all the way to the south and east. So definitely a pattern change coming here. We've had very mild conditions across much of the nation, warmer than normal for this time of the year, and relatively dry pattern as well. We've become unsettled this weekend, and then a chillier pattern sets up for much of the central and eastern states later next week. Looks like that chillier pattern will continue as we progress through the latter part of the month of April. That's it for now. For PerspectaWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Orion.